Hey, family and friends. I wanted to shoot another episode here. This is episode number 2 of the way that I want to just pay tribute to my grandpa over the next year in 2020. So this is another episode that I wanted to shoot and tell you a little more about my grandpa. My grandpa, he grew up in Fredonia, which is really north Arizona, south Utah. So it's 8 miles between 8 miles between his town, Fredonia, and Kanab, Utah, which is right on the border of Arizona, Utah. My grandpa was a stud. He was, as a young buck, he told stories, and I will share one of these stories with you soon, but not on this episode. But my grandpa, at a young age, he told me that the first time he went out and actually watched the sheep on his own was when he was 8 years old. Okay, he was out in the middle of nowhere, basically, taking care of the sheep, shooting coyotes, making his own food, 8 years old. Now, I learned later, as I dug further into his story, that at the age of 10, he was out there for about 3 weeks at a time by himself. But at the age of 8, I don't know how long. It could have been a couple days. It could have been maybe just a night. I don't know, but he was on his own at age 8, out in the middle of nowhere, tending sheep. And I think that's impressive. And that's one of the reasons why the generation that we're losing right now, that were built, that were born in the 20s, the 1920s, they saw it all. They saw the Depression. They saw hard times. They saw good times. They've seen everything change, technology, the whole bit. And I'm really proud to be my grandfather's grandson because of what he did. He, as a kid, would be out in the middle of nowhere with his sheep, shooting coyotes, making food, taking care of the sheep, and as a farmer, it's funny, I think any farmer can attest, and I hold this as an honorable title, but I think that a lot of political things nowadays they'd be bothered by this, but like farmers just look at animals as animals. They don't look at them as like I mean, not that they're not important or sacred to these farmers, but they're just dumb animals. And my grandpa had that belief that animals were just, sheep especially, were dumb. And so he wrote a poem, and this one is a little bit out there depending on maybe a PG rating on this one, because you might have some explaining to do after you listen to this. But one of his great poems that I want to show you now. So I'm going to play his poem. You can check it out. And I just want you to get a feel for what he felt like life was and how manly he was. And my grandpa was an accountant later on in years, so he did some really cool things, came to the city and got out of being a sheep herder and not really just watching and tending the sheep, raising sheep on the farm. And so I'm just impressed with the fun way that my grandpa wrote this poem. And so I hope you enjoy it. I think it's really funny, and I'll go ahead and play it now.
This gathering desert shrimp. Oft times my mind will wander, now that I am old and gimp, back to those days back yonder and gathering desert shrimp. Now kids and ladies turn around and quickly walk away. There's sex and violence herein, so now what more need I say? You've heard of mountain oysters and the source from whence they come. Well, the shrimp have a similar background, but they're smaller than your thumb. Each spring the little lammies are taken from their maws, and to make the scene more tragic, they don't even know their paws. A kid will catch them one by one. To the lambs it don't make sense when he grabs a hold of all 4 legs and sits them on the fence. If they only knew that man they face with a sharpened knife holds their future in his hands, the key to death and life. First thing he does is notch their ears, and then he bobs their tail. That ends it if the lamb's a she. God help him if he's male. The he-lamb has a hairy bag that's cut off at the tip, exposing 2 small objects. From your fingers they would slip. The one sure way to get 'em is to put your nose down in the wool. Then grasp 'em firmly twixt your teeth and give a gentle pull. Then the kid'll drop the little lamb, and he takes off with a limp. He's become the organ donor of 2 fine desert shrimp. Meanwhile, you have the slippery things a-dangling from your lips. It's crucial not to swaller now, or down your throat they'll slip. You slowly turn your head around and spit 'em in the pan. You can hardly wait for supper if you're half a man. You fry 'em well in bacon grease and add Tabasco sauce. To think of something tastier, I'm completely at a loss. Don't seek 'em at a butcher shop or in the grocery store. You'll have to go and gather 'em as in the days of yore.